Hey there! It's time for another first impressions video, and this one is on the Scribbles That Matter dotted journal. Scribbles That Matter is a premium stationery brand based in the United Kingdom, and they are a very well-known brand among journalers of all styles. I have a video where I explain which are the different types of bullet journals out there, and the Scribbles That Matter notebook is one that will take on any style that you prefer. So, moving on to the specifications. It comes in this protective cardboard box that is whimsically decorated with their signature doodles, which you can also find embossed on both covers. I got an A5 size, which is the most common, but they also have them in B5 and B6. The material is soft faux leather, and you can find it with doodles or without them in the Pro version of the notebook. I bought the mint color, which has details in bright pink, but you can choose between 10 different colors, and I believe they are always adding more. As for the binding type, it is sewn and glued. Some pages have a thick layer of glue, which means they won't fully open and look a little bit different than the rest. This does not bother me, but I know of people who are bothered by this, so it is something to take into consideration. But it does lay flat while you are journaling. It has 160 pages, and 153 of them are pre-numbered. The paper is 160 GSM and it is acid-free. The color of the pages is like a warm white. I'm comparing it here with the Suki from Notebook Therapy, which is like a colder white, and then the Leuchtturm, which is definitely an ivory color. The color of the dots is a very light gray, and they are all 5 millimeters apart on a grid of 27 for 39 squares. A feature that I really like is that it has markings for the halves of the pages, which makes setting spreads up a lot easier. And here I must add that the printed dots align nicely with the pages, because sometimes they don't. This journal has white pages, but they have also options for black pages, ruled pages, inserts, sleeves, and an endless array of other stationery items. It has 2 bookmarks which match really nicely the combination of the notebook. According to the notebook you get, the color of the bookmarks will change. Like all journals, it comes with a very durable looking back pocket, which is really sturdy, and it features that bright pink that the notebook has in all its details, and also it is covered in all of those lovely doodles. The elastic closure is pink, as well as the pen lip. And I was surprised when my notebook came with a free fine liner of the brand. It is a black one in number 04. And they were kind enough to throw these freebies randomly when they launched their fine liners. So you can't really expect one in every purchase, but I think it was a really cool thing to be able to get one. And now, when you open it to the first page, it has space to write down your name. And by the way, here it should say the following scribbles belong to. So this was a print error because Starry Night is your black paper journal. Again, I don't mind. And then it also has space to write down the time period for which you will be using the journal. Then you have the key, which is where you will be adding your bullets or your color codes. And those are followed by 3 pages for the index, which I think is more than enough. And then you have page number 1, where you can just start journaling. Now, you might have noticed the tip on the cover page. Here it says, to avoid ruining your new journal, try out all new pens on the pen test page at the end. And that is exactly what I'm gonna do right now. It might seem like a very extra thing to do, but if you are into illustrating and using different mediums, then it's advisable that you do try the pens, markers, or any other type of ink that you usually use or that you intend to use. Trust me on this one, you don't want to ruin the page or have to patch it or just be annoyed by it. So here I will be testing all the materials that I usually love and use. I'm not really worried about ghosting because I know that this type of paper usually takes anything, but I'm really interested in seeing how the ink reacts on the paper. I like to see how absorbent it is, if it feathers, and especially speaking about very liquidy inks, and also if markers leave the usual marker print, which on some papers is more noticeable than others. So I'm gonna speed through these and I'll tell you about it at the end of it. Alright, so these are all the materials that I usually use, as well as the techniques, and the results are very pleasing. Like, of course, I knew that the alcohol markers would ghost, but even then, I like to use them sometimes on my journals and try to cover the back of it. So honestly, I saw that this paper absorbs a lot of ink. So with these markers, I don't really need to use a lot, or else I'm gonna finish those soon. But the rest of the things goes to the very little, and especially where I use them a lot, like the Tombow Fudeno Suke and the Zebra My Liner. This was a bit of a surprise because it's not that liquidy, but even with the first stroke, the paper absorbed a lot of ink. So that is something to have in mind regarding your favorite markers, and if you don't want to use them up quite quickly, this paper might be too absorbent, and I feel that the usual marker trail is very noticeable. The Crayola Super Tips barely bled, and the Stabilo of course bled a lot because that ink is juice. And an alternative might be to use markers as watercolors because you have better control of how much you use. And as you can see here, it didn't bleed through at all. There is some rippling of the paper, but you can't see any color whatsoever, and it's something that I love. I don't mind a little bit of rippling. I rather have that than have the colors bleeding through. And even when I use a lot of water, the rippling is just the same. So of course this is just a test. Usually I don't use that much water, but it was good to see how the paper responds so that I can have that in mind as I work with my watercolors. As for the rest of the pens, they glided beautifully on the paper. It was really smooth, and it is an absorbent paper, which kind of makes the more watery inks matte, which I like. So yeah, overall it's a very nice paper. Like I said, truly recommended for any type of bullet journaling that you will like to do. It takes it all. The very last page has a nice space for mindfulness, which says, flip through this journal from the first page to the last. See all the scribbles? A mirror to your past. What have you learned? How have you grown? Reflect and ponder when you are alone. I think this is a really cool feature because I believe that journaling is more than organizing tasks. It allows you to gain a different perspective on your goals and priorities, and ultimately where you are and where you want to be. As for the pricing, it varies from country to country, what with shipping costs and all of that. But I got mine on Amazon for around 30 USD with free delivery, which actually was the lowest price that I was able to find being in Mexico. So these were my first impressions. I think this is a very whimsical journal, and I am looking forward to using it so that I can rate its durability and overall performance. If you are interested in the brand, check scribblesthatmatter.com or check on Amazon. Let me know which is your preferred notebook for journaling, and if there is any brand that you would like me to give my first impressions on. Subscribe if you would like to follow my bullet journal journey. And as usual, thank you so much for watching.